Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm Dr. Sadia. Today we'll discuss about the carotid arteries and its important branches. So, what are the objectives? Today we'll discuss the common carotid arteries and their terminal branches, like external carotid artery, like internal carotid artery, because these are the major blood supply of the head and neck. External carotid artery and its branches, it supplies the neck, face, and the skull. And the internal carotid artery gives the branches like ophthalmic artery. It supplies the orbit, and this is gives the central artery of the retina, and it also gives the anterior cerebral artery and the middle cerebral artery and anterior choroidal arteries. And these arteries, internal carotid artery, when joins with the branches of the vertebral artery, then basilar artery, and it then when these branches of the vertebral artery and the internal carotid artery when joins with each other, it forms the circle of Willis. So what is circle of Willis, and where it is present, we'll discuss in a while. So the right common carotid is a branch of the brachiocephalic artery. So this is a brachiocephalic artery, and this is the right common carotid, and this is the right subclavian. It begins in the neck behind the right sternoclavicular joint. So this is the manubrium sternum. Here is the clavicle is present. So it is behind the right sternoclavicular joint. This is brachiocephalic trunk, and the left common carotid artery is the branch of the arch of aorta. This is the direct branch of the arch of aorta, left common carotid artery. This is the left subclavian artery. It ascends to the back of the left sternoclavicular joint and enters the neck. So this is the left sterno. It is behind the left sternoclavicular joint, and the right one, it is behind the right sternoclavicular joint. So in the neck, each artery runs upwards within the carotid sheath. So they are these common carotid arteries. They are present in the carotid sheath under the cover of the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid. So this is the right brachiocephalic trunk. And it gives the right common carotid and the right subclavian. It is behind the right sternoclavicular joint. And the left common carotid artery is a direct branch of the arch of aorta and behind the left sternoclavicular joint, and this is the left subclavian artery. This is also the direct branch of the arch of aorta. So the common carotid artery bifurcates into an external carotid and internal carotid artery. So this is a common carotid. This is divided into the you have external carotid and an internal carotid arteries, and at the upper border of the thyroid cartilage. So this is the upper border of the thyroid cartilage where the common carotid artery divides into the external carotid and into the internal carotid. The two structures of importance are the bifurcation. At the bifurcation are the carotid sinus and carotid body. Carotid sinus is a dilatation of the common carotid artery. It is present at the terminal part of the common carotid or at the beginning of the internal carotid artery. So what it is, it has this carotid sinus. This dilatation is called a carotid sinus, whether it is present in the terminal part of the common carotid and at the beginning of the internal carotid. At this area, the carotid sinus is called baroreceptors. These baroreceptors actually sense whether the artery is in its constriction position or dilatation position. So they are the baroreceptors, and what it will do, it has a thick adventitia, and it has the media is not as thick as in other sides of the arteries are present. There the in the carotid sinus, the adventitia is thick, and it has it contains the nerves like branches of the glossopharyngeal, and the media is not as thick as in other parts of the arteries. So this is carotid sinus. This is act as a baroreceptor, and when the arterial pressure become increased, it causes the relaxation or vasodilatation of the arteries, and it also causes the slowing of the heart rate. So it causes the slowing of the heart rate, and it also causes the vasodilatation of the arteries, and it actually sense the increased pressure in the arteries. These baroreceptors actually sense the increased pressure in the arteries, and in the in its reflex, it actually causes the vasodilatation of the arteries, and it slows the heart rate also. So the carotid body, it is a, and this is a chemoreceptor. This is a carotid body, yellowish brown colored structure, which is present behind the bifurcation of the common carotid artery, and it actually sends the increased levels of carbon dioxide and decreased levels of oxygen in the blood. So whenever the oxygen level increases in the blood and carbon dioxide level increases in the blood and oxygen level decreases in the blood, this carotid body, yellowish brown structure which is behind, it is supplied by the glossopharyngeal nerve. It actually activates, and it increases the heart rate, it increases the respiratory rate, and it increases the vasoconstriction of the arteries, this carotid body, and it expels the carbon dioxide, and it increases the oxygen level in the blood. So what are the relations? Anterolaterally, we have a skin, fascia, antibody of the sternocleidomastoid, sternohyoid and sternothyroid, and superior belly of the omohyoid. So these are the anterolateral relations. These are the So posteriorly, we have a transverse processes of the lower four cervical vertebrae, prevertebral muscles, and the sympathetic trunk and the vertebral vessels. So I will show you in the next slide. So this is the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid. This is the sternohyoid. This is the sternothyroid. Here is the superior belly of omohyoid. This is anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid. So these are the anterior relations. This is common carotid artery, and at the upper border of the thyroid cartilage, the common carotid divides in the external carotid and in the internal carotid. This is the internal jugular vein. So this is the brachiocephalic artery. This is the right common carotid. This is the right subclavian artery. It is behind the sternoclavicular joint. This is the right sternoclavicular joint. This is the left sternoclavicular joint. This is the left common carotid artery. This is the left subclavian artery. So these are the posterior relations, like the transverse processes of the cervical vertebrae, vertebral artery, and the prevertebral muscles, and the sympathetic trunk. So these are the posterior relations, and the lateral relations are the this is the common carotid artery. This is the external carotid. This is the internal carotid. This is the vagus nerve, and this is the internal jugular vein. So these are the vagus nerve and internal jugular vein are the lateral relations. Then we will go back and see the lateral relations, internal jugular vein and the vagus nerve, medial relations, the larynx, the pharynx, the trachea, the esophagus, and the lobes of the thyroid. So this is the pharynx, this is the larynx, this is the trachea, behind the trachea, behind an of esophagus, and these are the recurrent laryngeal nerves between the trachea and the esophagus, and these are the phrenic nerves. So this is these are the medial relations, these are the lateral relations, these are the posterior relations, these are the anterior relations. Then we'll go back. So posteriorly, we have a transverse processes of the lower cervical vertebra, prevertebral muscles, sympathetic trunk, and vertebral vessels. Medially, we have a larynx, pharynx, trachea, esophagus, lobes of the thyroid gland. Laterally, we have an internal jugular vein and vagus nerve. So these are the all anterior relations. These are the transverse processes of cervical vertebra, prevertebral muscles, and these are the uh, vertebral artery, sympathetic trunk. These are the lateral relations, vagus nerve and internal jugular vein, and these are the medial relations, larynx, trachea, esophagus, and the lobes of the thyroid, which are also on each side. So these are here actually the lobes of the thyroid are present up to the fourth to fifth tracheal rings. So here the thyroid lobes are also present. So these are the medial relations, anterior relations, posterior relations. These are the lateral relations. So what is carotid sinus? Carotid sinus is a slight dilatation of the termination of common carotid artery. This is the termination of the common carotid artery and beginning of the internal carotid artery. In this area, the adventitia is thick and it contains the bunch of nerves that actually comes from the glossopharyngeal, and the media is thin. It receives a rich innervation from the glossopharyngeal and the sympathetic nerves. Carotid sinus acts as a baroreceptor. It senses the whether the arteries are in constricted position or in the dilated position. So it acts as a baroreceptor or pressure receptor, and it regulates the pressure in the arteries. So what is the applied of the carotid sinus? Loss of consciousness occur due to the simple head movements, hypersensitivity of the carotid sinus due to an unknown etiology, sudden slight pressure changes such as that occasioned by the movement of the head may result in a stimulation of the carotid sinus, and impulses transmitted by the carotid sinus reduces the blood pressure and slow the pumping action of the heart, thus decreasing the blood supply to the brain, resulting in the sudden loss of consciousness. Sometimes during palpation, we will apply the little bit the increased pressure over the carotid sinus, and that causes the loss of consciousness in the patient. You should be very careful when you are palpating the carotid arteries. So this is carotid body. Carotid body is a small oval reddish brown structure situated behind the bifurcation of the carotid artery. It receives the nerve supply mainly from the glossopharyngeal nerve, but also from the vagus and the sympathetic nerves. The carotid body acts as a chemoreceptor and responds to the changes in the oxygen and carbon dioxide and the pH content of the blood. So this actually a chemoreceptor which sense the carbon levels of the carbon dioxide and oxygen in the blood, and these carotid sinus is actually a pressure receptor which actually sense the pressure in the arteries. So carotid sheath is a condensation of the fibroalveolar tissue around the main vessels of the neck. Okay, so this is a carotid sheath. Contents, it contains the common carotid artery. This is a common carotid arteries, and this is the external and the internal carotid arteries, and the jugular veins, this is the jugular vein, and the vagus nerve, this is the vagus nerve. In the sheath, the common carotid artery is medially, this is medially, and the vagus nerve lies in between, and the internal jugular vein laterally. So these both are the lateral relations, and these three important structures are uh, um, covered by a carotid sheath, which is formed by the fibroalveolar tissue. So the common clinical signs of the common carotid artery is often used in measuring the pulse. Okay, when in which conditions? In a condition of shock where the other peripheral arteries become collapsed, especially in patients who are in shock who lack a detectable pulse in more peripheral arteries of the body. Especially in a condition of shock, the other peripheral arteries become collapsed, so it is not easy to palpate oh, sorry so it is not easy to get a pulse in the peripheral arteries. So in that condition, the only artery which is palpable, that is the common carotid artery, which can be palpated along the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid. The carotid artery should be palpated gently while the patient is sitting or lying down. So in the position, either you can palpate in the sitting position or in the lying positions. Stimulating its baroreceptors with the low palpitation can provoke severe bradycardia or even stop the heart, because its carotid sinus reflex causes the vasodilatation in the arteries, and in the slowing of the heart like bradycardia, and it can provoke the severe bradycardia and heart arrest also, even stop the heart in some sensitive persons. So whenever you can palpate the carotid artery along the anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid, you should be very careful. So this is an external carotid artery. External carotid artery generally it lies anterior to the internal carotid artery, and it is this is an external carotid, and this is an internal carotid. This is the chief artery which supply the structures in front of the neck and the face. So it has a many branches in the neck and the face. We will discuss in a while what are those. External carotid artery begins in the carotid triangle. So this is a carotid triangle in which the external carotid artery is begin along the border of the upper border of the thyroid cartilage and behind at the level of the C4. At the upper border of the thyroid cortex, opposite the disc between the third and the fourth cervical vertebrae, in the carotid triangle, it lies under the cover of anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid. So this is under the cover of sternocleidomastoid. This is the superior belly of omohyoid. This is the inferior belly of omohyoid. This is the sternohyoid and sternothyroid muscles. As the artery ascends, it passes deep to the posterior belly of digastric behind the sternocleidomastoid. Over the mastoid process, the posterior belly of omohyoid is also attached. So it also behind the posterior belly of omohyoid and stylohyoid. Stylohyoid, which is coming from the styloid muscle, so it is also here. So it is behind these two muscles, uh, behind the sternocleidomastoid, behind the posterior belly of digastric and stylohyoid, and behind the neck of the mandible by dividing into the maxillary and superficial temporal artery. It actually enters into the substance of the parotid gland, and at the level of the neck of the mandible, it divides into the maxillary artery and superficial temporal artery. So the terminal branches of the external carotid arteries are maxillary artery and the superficial temporal artery. So what are the other branches except the terminal branches? We'll discuss in a while. So anterolaterally, it is covered by an external carotid artery. Is also covered by an sternocleidomastoid, anterior border of the sternocleidomastoid, stylohyoid. So this is actually posterior belly of digastric, and this is stylohyoid. So these are the muscles. This is posterior belly of digastric. From here, these are all muscles are present here, and here this is the crossed nerve. This is called hypoglossal nerve, which crosses the external carotid artery. This nerve crosses the external carotid artery. It enters into the substance of the parotid gland at the level of the neck of the mandible. It divides into the maxillary artery and the superficial temporal artery. So and it is in the substance of the parotid, or it is also crossed by the branches of the facial nerve. So this is an hypoglossal nerve. When it enters into the substance of the parotid, it divides into the it is also crossed by the facial nerve, and then it divides at the level of the neck of the mandible. It divides into the superficial temporal and the maxillary artery. It divides it behind the sternocleidomastoid and posterior belly of digastric and stylohyoid muscle. So in the within the parotid, it is crossed by the facial nerve, internal jugular vein. It is also here laterally, and it first lateral and then posterior. So medially, the wall of the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea, and the glossopharyngeal nerve, the wall of the pharynx, the glossopharyngeal nerve, and vagus nerve. So the vagus nerve is also present here. This is an hypoglossal, and these are the medial relations: larynx, pharynx, trachea, glossopharyngeal, and vagus nerves. So what are the branches? It has an 8 branches. Anteriorly, it has a superior thyroid artery. So this is a superior thyroid artery, and the other anteriorly it has 3 branches. So this is superior thyroid artery, this is the lingual artery, okay, and this is the facial artery. We'll discuss every artery in detail. So posterior branches of the external carotid, like occipital artery and the posterior auricular artery, these are the 2 branches which actually which will go posteriorly, like posterior auricular and occipital. And one medial branch, we have an ascending pharyngeal artery, and the 2 terminal branches, one is the maxillary artery and another is the superficial temporal artery. So these are all the branches of the external carotid artery. So this is actually a superior thyroid artery, which actually comes from the external carotid. This is a common carotid. This is an external carotid. This is an internal carotid artery. So this superior thyroid artery, which comes downward over the superior border of the thyroid gland, and it accompanies with the superior thyroid vein and external laryngeal nerve. So this superior thyroid artery, which is a branch of the external carotid artery, is the main supply of the thyroid gland. So this is a lingual artery which actually moves forward and actually supplies the tongue. This is a lingual artery. This is a facial artery. This is another anterior branch. So we have 3 anterior branches, like superior thyroid artery, which goes downward over the superior border of the thyroid gland and supplies the thyroid gland. And the other anterior branch is the lingual artery, which moves forward and supplies the tongue. And this is a facial artery. It comes out from the anteriorly from the external carotid, and it gives the three cervical branches. Like this is a ascending palatine artery which runs over the superior constrictor. This is an ascending palatine which runs over the superior constrictor, and it supplies the soft palate, and it supplies it gives the tonsillar branch also. It supplies the ascending palatine, supplies the tonsils, supplies the soft palate, auditory tube or Eustachian tube. It also supplies the tensor veli palatini. It runs over the superior constrictor muscle. So this is a tonsillar branch which pierces the superior constrictor and supplies the palatine tonsil. So and then facial artery moves forward after giving the ascending palatine and tonsillar branch. It moves forward and it runs over and it grooves over the submandibular gland. It gives the glandular three or four glandular branches to the submandibular gland, and this over the submandibular lymph nodes, and the skin and fascia over the submandibular region. So it these glandular branches, after giving the glandular branches to the submandibular gland, to the submandibular lymph nodes, or to the skin and fascia over the submandibular region. So these after the glandular branches, it gives another important branch. This is the submental artery. So these are the four cervical branches of the facial artery, like ascending palatine, like the tonsillar branch, which pierces the superior constrictor and supplies the palatine tonsils. And this ascending palatine also supplies the palatine tonsils. It supplies the um, tensor veli palatini, the soft muscles of the soft palate, and the Eustachian tube. So it runs, it actually wind rounds over the border of the mandible and moves up over the here is the muscle of the masseter. So it actually wind rounds the low border of the mandible uh, along the side of the anterior inferior border of the masseter. Then it moves up into the face, and it gives the inferior label to the lower lip and superior label to the upper lip. And the superior label will give the septal branch and the branch to the nose. And it the facial artery, then when it moves upward, it gives the lateral facial artery, and it also gives the angular artery. Then this is the angular artery is the terminal branch of the facial artery. Then it joins with the um, superior trochlear and infratrochlear arteries, the supratrochlear and the infratrochlear branches of the ophthalmic artery. So this is the course of the facial artery. And this is the ascending pharyngeal artery, which supplies the pharynx, constrictors of the pharynx, ascending pharyngeal, which is the medial branch. This is the maxillary artery. This is the terminal branch. This is the maxillary artery, which supplies the lower jaw, upper jaw, the muscles of mastication. It supplies the muscle of mastication, the maxillary artery. It supplies the nasal cavity, sphenopalatine artery. It supplies the palate, like, by the greater and the lesser palatine branches of the maxillary artery. So it supplies the air, like external air and the tympanic cavity by its tympanic branches. So it has a wide area of branches, and it supplies the increased area of the face, the nasal cavity, the nasal cavity, the palate, the upper jaw, the lower jaw, by the superior and inferior alveolar arteries, muscles of mastication, and the ear. So it has lot much branches. So this we will discuss in a detail. So this is a superficial temporal artery, and this is a posterior auricular artery. Supplies is the posterior surface of the pinna and the skull, and this occipital artery supplies is the posterior most area of the skull. So this is all about the external carotid artery. The superior thyroid artery, as I told you, it curves downward on the upper pole of the thyroid gland with the external laryngeal nerve. So this is a superior thyroid artery which curves downward over the upper pole of the thyroid gland and is along with the external laryngeal nerve and supplies the thyroid gland. The ascending pharyngeal artery, it moves over the superior constrictor and supplies the pharyngeal wall. The lingual artery, this ascending pharyngeal is on the medial branch of the external carotid. This is a lingual artery. This is the anterior branch. It supplies the tongue. Facial artery is close to the outer surface of the pharynx and tonsils deep to the submandibular gland, bends around the lower border of the mandible, ठीक ascends around the margin of the mouth. So the facial artery close to the outer surface of the pharynx, tonsils deep to the submandibular gland. I already discussed in detail. So this is a facial artery. It moves up from the it grooves over the submandibular gland by giving the branches to the glandular branches to the submandibular gland, submental artery. It winds around the low border of the mandible. Then it moves upward, ascends around the margin of the mouth and terminates at the medial angle of the eye. So this is all about the facial artery. Move forward. So this is the these are the different branches. This is a superior constrictor. This is the pterygomandibular raphe. This is a superior constrictor muscle. So this is a tonsillar branch. This is ascending palatine. This is an ascending palatine artery. This is a tonsillar branch for the ascending. This tonsillar branch actually pierces the superior constrictor, and it supplies the palatine tonsils. This ascending palatine artery जो है, this artery which is over the superior constrictor, and it gives the translar branch also. Supplies the soft palate. It supplies the tensibilii palatini. It supplies the Eustachian tube. So this actually over the superior constrictor, and this is ascending pharyngeal. This is ascending pharyngeal medial branch, which is over the superior constrictor, and this supplies the pharyngeal wall. So these three arteries have a relation with the superior constrictor. So the facial artery, by giving the tonsillar branch and ascending palatine, it actually binds around the lower border of the mandible. Then it enters into the face, and it gives the lower labial, superior labial, inferior labial, and it supplies all the facial muscles, and it gives the septal branch. The superior labial will give the septal branch, and it also gives the LR branch, and then the facial artery will move forward. It gives the lateral nasal branch, which supply the lateral part of the nose and bridge of the nose. Then it goes further, and it actually terminates as a uh, angular artery. So it terminates as So this is the superficial temporal. This is maxillary artery. This is a facial artery which actually joins with the anastomosis with the supratrochlear and supraorbital branches of the uh, uh, ophthalmic arteries. So this is facial artery. This is posterior auricular and occipital artery. And these are the posterior arteries. These are the anterior arteries, and these are the terminal branches. Move forward, the branches of the facial artery supplies the tonsil, the submandibular salivary gland by its glandular branches, and the muscles of the face and skin and the face. Occipital artery supplies the back of the scalp. The posterior auricular artery supplies the back of the auricle and the scalp, and the superficial temporal artery, it ascends over the zygomatic arch accompanied by the auriculotemporal nerve and supplies the scalp. So we'll discuss the superficial temporal artery. This is the superficial temporal artery. It gives many branches, like the transverse facial artery, which supplies the parotid gland and the parotid duct. This is another branch of the superficial temporal, like orbitozygomatic artery. So this supplies the orbital area and the zygomatic arch. And this is the middle temporal, which supplies the temporal muscles. And this is a superficial temporal artery. Then further actually divides into the frontal branch and the parietal branch. Parietal branch actually anastomoses with the posterior auricular and the occipital arteries, and the frontal branch will anastomose with the supraorbital and supratrochlear branches of the ophthalmic artery. So this is all about the superficial temporal artery and its branches, orbitozygomatic, middle temporal, and transverse facial artery. And this is the posterior auricular. Acha, it also superficial temporal also gives the anterior auricular. Anterior auricular supplies the anterior surface of the auricle, and the posterior auricular supplies the posterior surface of the auricle and then the scalp. So this superficial temporal will give anterior auricular, middle temporal to the temporalis muscles, and the orbitozygomatic transverse facial artery for the parotid and parotid gland and the parotid duct, and this the frontal and the parietal branch for the scalp. So this is all about the superficial temporal. So this is the facial artery which winds around the lower border of the mandible and enters into the face and terminates as an angular artery. This is superior thyroid artery. This is lingual artery, which supplies the tongue, and this is actually posterior auricular and occipital artery, and this is superficial temporal artery, and this is the maxillary artery. So what is maxillary artery? It enters the pterygopalatine fossa and supplies the upper jaw by the superior alveolar artery, lower jaw by the inferior alveolar arteries, muscles of mastication, the nose by the sphenopalatine artery, and the palate by the greater and the lesser palatine arteries, meninges by the middle meningeal artery. So this artery is very, very important, and this we will discuss in detail. Middle meningeal artery, it enters the skull through the foramen spinosum. Within the skull, it divides into the anterior and posterior branch. Anterior branch, it is important because it close to the motor area of the brain, and it is prone to damage after a blow to the head. And it develops so it enters through the foramen spinosum and divides into the anterior and the posterior branch, and actually at the area of pterion, where where the frontal, parietal, greater wing of sphenoid, and the occipital, all five bones actually here, squamous part of the temporal bone, five bones will actually join here, and forms the pterion. Here the below over the head, the damage the middle meningeal artery and develop the extradural hematoma. So what is internal carotid artery?